You know that feeling when someone ruins your whole day with one sentence? Here's the thing. It only lasts 90 seconds. After that, you're the one keeping it alive. In 1996, a brain scientist had a stroke and watched her own mind come apart in real time. Once she recovered, she had something nobody had measured before: how long a feeling actually lasts before it burns out on its own. Her name was Jill Bolte Taylor. 90 seconds. That's how long the actual chemical of anger survives in your blood. After that, it's gone, flushed out, done. So why were you still angry 2 hours later? Somewhere between second 1 and hour 2, you did something the chemical never asked for. You told yourself a story. The story is what kept the fire going, not whoever lit the match. You've heard people say it. They know exactly how to push my buttons. We talk like we're machines, like someone else is holding the remote. But a button only does anything if it's wired to something underneath. Those wires are old. A parent's tone, a teacher's silence, some moment you don't even remember keeping. So when someone pushes your button, they're not controlling you. They just found wiring you never disconnected. That's the first thing. Here's the stranger part. What you call anger usually isn't anger. Anger is more like a security guard. It shows up first, so the softer stuff doesn't have to. Somebody criticizes your work, you snap back. But underneath the snap is a quieter line. Do I still matter to you? That's the real sentence. Anger just says it louder. Vulnerability feels risky, so the guard grabs the mic instead. Problem is, the guard can't fix anything. It can only stand there. Now it gets clinical. Between whatever happens to you and however you react, there's a gap. Most people never notice it's there. Viktor Frankl found it in about the worst place a person could find anything, a concentration camp, stripped of everything. And he noticed one thing couldn't be taken from him: the space between what happens and how he responded to it. That gap is tiny, a fraction of a second, but inside it, you're not reacting on autopilot. You're deciding. Somebody sends you a cutting email, your thumb's already moving toward reply. Right there, in the gap, one question changes things. Would I be proud of this tomorrow? Most people never ask it. Knowing the gap exists isn't enough, though. You need to actually watch yourself standing in it. There's a part of you researchers call the observer self. It can watch anger show up without turning into the anger. Most people go straight from trigger to explosion with nobody home to notice it happening. The shift is one sentence. Instead of, "He's an idiot," it's, "I'm having the thought that he's an idiot." That's the whole trick. Your teenager rolls their eyes. Old you snaps back instantly. New you just notices the heat and says, irritation rising. Here's what nobody tells you. You didn't just happen to skip all this. You were trained to skip it. Every notification on your phone is built to hijack that exact half second. Outrage keeps you scrolling. Calm doesn't sell anything. The faster you react, the more useful you are to whatever's built around you. That's not a flaw in you. Someone designed it that way. So the real fight isn't the people who trigger you. It's the reflex nobody asked if you wanted, which makes difficult people oddly useful. Your critical boss isn't attacking you. She's loading weight onto a muscle you haven't built. Your passive-aggressive neighbor is forcing you to practice a boundary you've never had to say out loud. That 15th micromanaging email today isn't persecution, it's a rep. Every one you survive without breaking makes the next one lighter. But strength without boundaries falls apart fast. A boundary isn't a wall, it's a gate, and you're the one holding the key. I care about you, but I don't respond well to yelling. Let's talk when you're calm. That's not aggressive, that's just structure. Without it, you're pouring from a cup that's already empty. Sometimes the boundary isn't even a sentence. It's distance. There's a real difference between retreating on purpose and just running. I need a break from this conversation. Let's pick it up when I can respond instead of react. 5 minutes of quiet can save you from hours of cleanup later. Then there's the map. You wouldn't walk through a minefield blindfolded. So why keep walking through relationships without knowing where your own landmines are buried? Your triggers were never random. They follow a pattern laid down years ago. A certain tone, a certain silence, a look that echoes someone from way earlier. Once you see the pattern, the mind stops being a surprise. Then comes the hardest part, caring without drowning. You can witness somebody's pain without absorbing it. A lifeguard throws the ring. A lifeguard doesn't jump in and drown next to them. I want to support you through this. Let's set aside real time for it and protect the rest. Burned out helpers help nobody. One thing left, and it's the thing holding all of this together. You're not experiencing reality, you're experiencing your story about reality. And that story usually got written fast, under pressure, and wrong. Your boss sends a curt email. Story 1. They hate your work. Result: a bad night's sleep. Story 2. Same email. They're just busy, and they trust you enough not to explain themselves. Same words, same sender, completely different chemical in your body. You were never at the mercy of the email. You were at the mercy of whichever story you picked. Knowing all this doesn't help much on its own. Knowledge without practice is just entertainment. So don't try to install 10 things at once. Pick one, maybe the observer. For a week, every time something rises, just name it. I notice irritation rising. That's the whole practice. By the second week, it stopped being a technique and started being how you actually operate. The calmest person you know wasn't born calm. They just practiced the gap long enough that nobody can see the seams anymore. You know 10 things now that most people never learn. The version of you that difficult people don't have power over anymore isn't far off. It's just waiting for you to stop reacting long enough to show up. The gap is yours.